viewers, today I am going to tell you about two musical terms which are Swar and Shruti. Swar, the note, is the base of all music. The whole structure of rag in Indian music is erected upon Swar. Swar are based upon Shrutis. Shrutis are the microtonal intervals of sound. Such intervals are considered 22 in Indian musical scale. Amongst these 22 intervals, 7 such intervals which have a definite tone pitch are known as Swar. In this lecture on Swar and Shruti, though the term Shruti needs to be explained prior to Swar, because the Shruti or the microtonal interval of sound is the base of Swar, and the Swars are emanated out of Shrutis. But for the beginner students of music, it will be more easier to understand if I go with the term Swar first instead of going into the complexity of Shruti, thus following the learning theory from simple to complex. Yes, to begin with Swar, when simply I take the names of Swar like Sa Re Ga Ma Pa, perhaps everybody is familiar with the names. So let me start with the musical term Swar. The principal sounds in music are known as Swar or the notes. Though there are 12 principal sounds which have emanated out of 22 Shrutis, yet out of these 7 are the main Swars. Indian musicians and musicologists have unanimously accepted that Swars are of two kinds, which are Shuddha Swar and Vikrit Swar. First, let us know about Shuddha Swar. Shuddha Swar, that is full tone note, is a tone of definite pitch. Each note has its fixed place in 22 Shrutis. When a note finds its fixed place in the octave, it is known as Shuddha Swar or the full tone note. Literally, Shuddha Swar means a pure note. There are 7 such natural or pure notes in the octave which are named as Shadaj, Rishabh, Gandhar, Madhyam, Pancham, Dhaivat and Nishad. These are abbreviated as Sa Re Ga Ma Pa Dha and Ni. These abbreviations of the names of the notes are given to the method of singing. These 7 notes have a fixed tone of their own and are in ascending order, which means that each note in the ascending order gives the higher tone than the previous one. For example, the tone of Re is higher than Sa, Ga is higher than Re, Ma is higher than Ga, and so on. The next is Vikrit Swar. Vikrit Swar are modified notes. Sometimes the basic tones of the Swar, except Sa and Pa, are altered, and these chromatic tones formed by altering the basic tones are known as Vikrit Swar. There are 5 such altered tones in Hindustani music of the 5 basic notes, which are Re, Ga, Ma, Dha and Ni. That is why these 5 notes are also known as Chal Swar or the changeable notes. After the 7 basic notes of the scale, first and the 5th note, that is Sa and Pa, are known as Achal Swar, that is the fixed or the unchangeable notes. Because these 2 notes cannot change their position or have no alternative tones. The rest of the 5 notes, Re, Ga, Ma, Dha and Ni, have their altered tones also. In music, the basic tones can be either raised to the basic tone or lowered to it. In both the positions, these are known as Vikrit Swar. There are 5 such Vikrit Swar in Hindustani music, which are Re, Ga, Ma, Dha and Ni. When these 5 notes find their exact place in the octave, in that case these are known as Shuddha Swar, and these give the full tone. But in case of altering the basic tones either by raising or by lowering, these are known as Vikrit Swar. Further, Vikrit Swar can be divided into 2 parts, which are Komal Vikrit and Tivra Vikrit, that is flat notes and sharp notes. Now let us see what characteristics these 2 Vikrit Swar have. The first is Komal Vikrit or flat notes. Komal literally means tender. The notes, when come downwards from their original place and give the lower tone of the basic tones, are known as Komal Vikrit or Komal Swar or the flat notes. Re, Ga, Dha and Ni, these are 4 such notes in Hindustani music which are flattened. These notes can be made Komal or flat to the varying degrees like Komal and Ati Komal. Not irrelevant to mention here, while writing in Bhatkhande's notation system, these flat notes are symbolized by putting a small horizontal lines beneath every such note. Re, Ga, Dha and Ni notes are shown in the script. The next is Tivra Vikrit or sharp note. Tivra literally means sharp. When note gives or goes higher from its original place and gives the higher or sharp tone than its original note, it is known as Tivra Vikrit or Tivra Swar or sharp note. Ma is the only such note in the 7-tone scale of Indian music that is sharped, and in that case it gives the higher or the raised tone than its basic tone. Ma note can have the varying degrees of sharpness like Tivra and Ati Tivra, that is sharp and very sharp. In Bhatkhande's notation system, Tivra Ma is indicated by putting a small vertical line over the note. Ma sharp is shown in the script. Thus, in Hindustani music, there are 7 Shuddh or full tone notes in the octave, which are Shadaj, Rishabh, Gandhar, Madhyam, Pancham, Dhaivat and Nishad. These 7 notes are abbreviated as Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha and Ni. Amongst the 7 notes, Sa is the first note of the octave and is the key note. First and fifth notes, that is Sa and Pa, are Achal Swar or the fixed notes. Rest of the 5 notes, Re, Ga, Ma, Dha and Ni, have their chromatic tones formed by altering the basic tones and are called Vikrit Swar. The basic tone can be raised, which is known as Tivra or sharp note, and can be lowered, which is known as Komal or flat note. Thus, Shuddh, Komal and Tivra, these 12 principal sounds known as Swar, are the base of Indian music. These 12 notes in ascending order are Sa, Komal Re, Shuddh Re, Komal Ga, Shuddh Ga, Ma, Tivra Ma, Pa, Komal Dha, Shuddh Dha, Komal Ni and Shuddh Ni. These 12 Shuddh and Vikrit Swar can be shown in a diagram relating to Swar, which is in the script. These 12 notes are the base in Indian music on which the whole structure of rag has been erected. The next musical term which I am going to explain is Shruti. In my explanation on the term Swar, we have seen how the 7 main notes and their intermediate notes, which are actually as Shrutis, are fixed as Swar. Now we can go in for a little more detail and need to know what is Shruti. The word Shruti comes from the root Shru, which is a Sanskrit word which means to hear. So, the root meaning of Shruti would be any sound that is capable of being distinctly heard. There is a saying in Sanskrit, Shruyate iti Shruti. This definition, this defines the sound which can be heard is known as Shruti. Though from the musical point of view, this definition of Shruti seems to be incomplete, because according to this, any audible sound may be termed as Shruti. Maybe this sound is produced from striking the two things, or keeping a thing, or walking, or talking, or any other kind of musical or non-musical sound. But in fact, it is not so as far as the term Shruti is concerned. In music, Shruti is a technical term. It has been defined as Nityam Geetupyogitvam Abhishechtomapyut Lakshya Vidhi Samadishtam Prayaptam Shruti Lakshanam. According to this definition, the sound which is musical and distincted one from the other is called Shruti. In this definition of Shruti, 2 points are very clear: that this sound should be musical or should be capable of using in a song, and it should be distinct and audible sound. Thus, the Shrutis are microtonal intervals of sound, or are fixed notes with the smallest possible interval, compatible with each other, and with each of them being heard as distinct from its adjacent notes. There had been a consensus of opinion since the time of birth, that is, in ancient period, that Shrutis are 22 in number. The names of 22 Shrutis are Tivra, Kumdvati, Manda, Chandovati, Devati, Ranjini, Raktika, Rodri, Krodhi, Bajrika, Prasarani, Priti, Marjini, Kshiti, Rakta, Sandeepni, Alapni, Mandinti, Rohini, Ramya, Ugra and Kshobhini. Before describing how the swars or the notes are based upon 22 Shrutis or the Shruti Swar division, one question arises: why the number of Shrutis was taken as 22? Though it is thought for the advanced students of music, yet one point we can say at this stage, that it was based upon scientific principles. Any number other than 22 could no doubt have been taken. In fact, some musicians of the old, like Kohol, has took 66 Shrutis. He had mentioned in his text as Dwami Shati Kechidida Haranti Shruti, Shruti Gyan Vichar Dakshaha, Shat Shashti Bhinna Khal Kechida, Samanyatav me Pratipadhyanti. That is, some experts in the knowledge of Shruti take 22 Shrutis, others take 66, and some expound that Shrutis can be innumerable. This is mentioned in Kalinath's commentary on Sangeet Ratnakar of 13th century. But after the differences in opinions about the number of Shrutis, it has been accepted finally that the Shrutis are 22 in number. Now, the next is Shruti Swar division. As I have said earlier, Shrutis are microtonal intervals of sound, and our ancient, medieval and the modern scholars have considered 22 such intervals, amongst which 7 have a definite tone pitch and are known as swar. Music scholars have divided these 22 Shrutis amongst 7 notes. Or we can say 7 notes of musical scale have been placed at the different Shruti intervals amongst 22 Shrutis. Now, let us see how the 7 notes are placed on 22 Shrutis. A general rule for the division of 22 Shrutis among swar is Chatush Chatush Chev Shadaj Madhyam Panchamaha Dvay Dvay Nishad Gandharu Tristre Rishabh Dhaivato. According to this Sanskrit slok of Sangeet Ratnakar in 13th century by Pandit Sarang Dev, the notes Shadaj, Madhyam and Pancham, that is Sa, Ma, Pa, carry 4 Shrutis each. Gandhar and Nishad, that is Ga and Ni, carry 2 Shrutis, whereas Rishabh and Dhaivat, that is Re and Dha, carry 3 Shrutis each. According to this principle, there are 3 types of notes among the 7 notes of musical scale, that is having 4 Shrutis, 3 Shrutis and 2 Shrutis. These 7 notes Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Dha and Ni have been placed at different intervals on 22 Shrutis. These are placed at the distance of 4-3-2, 4-4-3-2 Shruti intervals. This means in a saptak or octave, Sa has 4 Shrutis, Re has 3, Ga has 2, Ma has 4 Shrutis, Pa 2 has 4 Shrutis, while Dha has 3 and Ni has 2 Shrutis. The Shrutis of each of the 7 notes have been shown in the script. So, the number of Shrutis for the intervals between the notes works out to 4-3-2, 4-4-3-2 as taken by the Indian musicians or the music scholars of ancient, medieval and the modern period. All scholars have agreed upon the principle of Chatush Chatush Chav for the division of Shrutis among the swars. But still there lies a difference between the method of division among the Shrutis. Ancient music scholars Bharat, the author of Natya Shastra of 2nd or 3rd century, and Sarangdev, the author of Sangeet Ratnakar in 13th century, and the medieval period Pandit Lochan, Ahubal, Hirday Narayan Dev and Pandit Srinivas all have placed the swars on the last Shruti of the each swar. For example, Shadaj has 4 Shrutis and Sa note has been placed at the last Shruti among the 4 Shrutis of Shadaj, that is on the 4th Shruti. Similarly, Rishabh or Re has 3 Shrutis, 5th, 6th and 7th, and Re has been placed on the last Shruti of the 3 Shrutis of Rishabh, and that is on the 7th Shruti. Accordingly, Ga is placed on 9th, Ma at 13th, Pa at 17th, Dha at 20th and Ni at 22nd Shruti. This Shruti Swar division or the placement of swars on Shrutis of the ancient and medieval music scholar have been shown in the script. Modern Shruti Swar division is in some way different from the aforesaid division. Modern music scholar Pandit Vishnu Narayan Bhatkhande has followed the principle of Chatush for the division of Shrutis, but there lies a difference among the ancient, medieval and the modern musicologists. Pandit Bhatkhande. Pandit Bhatkhande, thus following the same principle, has placed the swar at the first Shruti of each swar. For example, Sa has 4 Shrutis, but Sa note has been placed at the first Shruti instead of the 4th Shrutis among the 4 Shrutis of Shadaj. Similarly, Re has been placed at the 5th Shruti instead of 7th Shruti. Ga has been placed at 8th Shruti instead of 9th Shruti, and so on. According to Pandit Bhatkhande's division, the 7 notes of the musical scale are placed on the 1st, 5th, 8th, 10th, 14th, 18th and 21st Shruti respectively. The Shruti Swar division of the modern music scholar Pandit Vishnu Narayan Bhatkhande is different than those of the ancient and medieval period music scholars, which Pandit Bhatkhande's Shruti Swar division has been shown in the script. Thus, the swar of the ancient and medieval music scholars seem to be having Ga and Ni as komal or flat notes as compared to Pandit Bhatkhande's note. Thus, their Shuddha swar, that is full tone note, were equal to Kafi Thaat of Pandit Vishnu Narayan Bhatkhande, which is having Ga and Ni notes as komal or flat. Ancient, medieval and Pandit Bhatkhande's Shruti Swar division has been shown in the script for comparative study. While concluding, we can say that swar, the note, is the base of the whole musical structure of Indian ragas. Swars are based upon Shrutis. Shrutis are microtonal intervals of sound. Swars are emanated out of Shrutis. Shrutis are considered 22 in Indian musical scale. Amongst these 22 intervals, 7 such intervals which have a definite tone pitch are known as swar. The 7 main swar, Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Tha and Ni, are placed at the interval of 4-3-2, 4-4-3-2 on 22 Shrutis. Though the division of Shruti Swar of the modern musicologist Pandit Vishnu Narayan Bhatkhande is a bit different than those of the ancient and medieval musical scholars. In the end, we can summarize that Swar is the base of Indian music, while Shruti is the base of Swar. Thank you.